Give yourselves a pat on the back. You made it to freaking Friday, man. And who knew? We actually got a show started on time today. Everybody is winning right now. It is a great day to be alive. It's a great day to be a sports fan. And it's Lunchtime Live in Vegas. Mack with me today. We've got all kinds of fun stuff planned for you as well today. At the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by Herb from the HerbNRodg podcast. We'll dive all into the college football slate this weekend. We're also going to take a little bit of a peek ahead to a loaded next weekend in college football. Vegas, Mack, what are you dressed up for the middle of freaking winter?
Holy cow, it is cold. It is 59 degrees. It's been raining most of the day. I'm supposed to play golf later this afternoon. I'm going to have to forego the shorts for long pants today because it's so darn cold. And it's fall. It's football season. That's what it is. Yeah.
I have never one day in my life. Look at this guy. He's already nervous. You and Mac get along great, Herb. So we'll get Herb in at the top of the hour and talk college football. I've never once, one day in my life, golfed in long pants. Never planned to do it whatsoever. And you got to be careful today. This is when you can break a finger if it's so damn cold, Eskimo Mac. You know, one of those little stingers, man. Oh. Those ones will wake you up in a hurry.
Yeah, that's for sure. And, you know, we need the rain, which is good. But I just know those fairways are going to be soaked. My 200-yard drives are only going to go 180 today, so I'm in trouble.
I am playing golf tomorrow morning as well. So college game day and the Texas Tech Utah game will be on in the golf cart with one of our business partners. But
nice.
I finally made it to the end of the week. My voice has barely held on. The tricks of the broadcasting trade, gallons and gallons of hot green tea, maybe with a little bit of whiskey in them. Maybe not.
It's okay. Whatever it takes, man.
See if I can go out tomorrow and put on a better performance than what we have seen out of the Miami Dolphins most of the season. Last night, they came to play in a very entertaining Thursday night football game, which I don't think any of us really thought. 72% of the money was on the Bills to cover the spread as far as the public goes. About 80% on the total. The total did go over, but obviously if you watch the game, no thanks to Matt Prater. I mean, I have never seen Matt Prater miss a kick worse than that. I'm sure he has, but that's how fine that line is, especially on these Thursday night games. Buffalo does get the win. They don't get the cover, but Miami came to play last night, Mac, and I think that was surprising for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, really almost two no-shows the first couple weeks. The first one in Indy and then home against New England, and they just did not look good. You kind of had to figure something was going to give. It was either going to be, honestly, one way or the other. It was either going to be a complete demolition by the Bills or, like what we saw last night, Miami was going to be in that game whatsoever. But I think if you take a deeper dive into Miami, there's some bigger problems than just the 0-3 start this year. You take a look back to since their playoff loss in 2023, they only have 8 wins. That is it. This is a Miami team that supposed to be cutting edge offensive team and whatnot. But is it one of those things? Has the league, as it does so often, figured it out, caught up to them? It's not the same flair of Miami, the Dolphins, that we expect.
Yeah, and, feel free to comment along if you're watching along, your thoughts on last night's game. That's kind of an interesting one for me. I don't necessarily think it's time for Tua to go, but there needs to be something done there. I mean, Tua completed as many passes last night behind the line of scrimmage as he did, downfield. And here we go again with this. This is the second day in a row. There we go.
There we go.
So, when you look at this, I'm going to stop pushing buttons. Let me get that back up there for a second.
There you go.
When you look at the game stats from last night, a pretty even game. I mean, all the way down the board. But when it comes to Miami and their offensive creativity, it's a lack thereof. And before we dive into Miami here, I want people to understand, because I still don't think it's being given enough credit. There's two things that need to be kind of brought to the proper light here. Number one, Josh Allen is doing historical shit that we haven't seen done by a quarterback in a long time, and some stuff that's only been done by one other current quarterback. But from a Buffalo standpoint, their 13th consecutive home win, their third time in a row this season scoring 30 points or more. That's the second straight season they've done that. Second team in the history of the NFL to do that. And they won the turnover battle for the 25th straight game, which is an NFL record. And, just that alone, Mac, is, I mean, I don't think people are, and maybe it's because Buffalo hasn't gotten over the hump and they haven't finished the job. But this Bills team, you can't beat them in Buffalo. I mean, the Ravens had them down and out. I had Bills fans texting me during that game, I'm going to bed. And I text all three of them back, I hope the hell you actually stayed awake. One did not answer me. The other one did not. I mean, you can't beat the Bills in Buffalo. And the flavor of the week, as we've talked about, Mac, is the Chargers. Everybody's all over the Chargers, all over the Packers. I still don't think Buffalo gets enough credit for what they do. Maybe because they don't have flashy wide receiver names. But Josh Allen there is zero doubt about it that Josh Allen is hands down the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I mean, last night, 22 of 28. And I think that, we talked a little bit. I remember last year we had this conversation quite a bit about the Bills. And there's so many answers for the Buffalo Bills that you can't focus on one part. It's not like you're coming into this game and you go, okay, we're going to take away wide receiver number one. They don't have a wide receiver number one. They have, wide receiver, A, B, C, D, E. That's what they have. I mean, realistically, it's hard to play against this team because, number one, Josh Allen isn't your typical, he's not your running quarterback, but he scrambles enough to make things difficult to keep those receivers in front of you and around him. And then he's just so accurate that he finds them. I mean, we see the same thing with Mahomes. Well, he doesn't have the receivers that Allen has, but it's that same type of player. And here's what it really comes down to, Mike. Josh Allen in the fourth quarter makes the plays. Tua in the fourth quarter doesn't make the plays. That's what it comes down to. Josh Allen has shown in history that he is able to make the plays.
Yeah, fastest quarterback ever to reach 300 offensive touchdowns. That includes the playoffs. 46 career games now for Josh with 3 touchdowns, tied with Mahomes for the most since debuting in 2018. The most touchdowns against a single opponent in the first 15 matchups. 45 he has against Miami. Man. And he's also undefeated on Thursday Night Football. And when we talk about what's wrong with the Dolphins, well, here's a perfect example of it. 49% of his dropbacks last night, they had guys coming for Tua. And Buffalo wasn't even at full defensive strength last night. And I think that's, for me, when I watch the Dolphins, that's the biggest thing. They're getting zero help from their offensive line. And a guy in Tua who, when he's shown when he's been given time to throw, as I get it, I'm not saying anything groundbreaking here, as most quarterbacks are, but Tua specifically, when he's being given time to throw, that offense is very dynamic, and he's running for his life on every freaking drop back. And so that's where, when I would answer the question, is it time for Tua to go? I don't necessarily think so. I think the Dolphins as a whole, the way their entire team is constructed, that's where I'd look at the issue before I'd start talking about, hey, do we not have our franchise quarterback here?
Yeah, and the other thing is, I mean, talk about having to stop the rush. One way you can stop the rush is by having a running game, and the Dolphins, haven't had much of a running game. I said at the beginning when we previewed some of these teams, I like Ollie Gordon. I know he had a touchdown last night, and he got a few more touches than he did in the first couple weeks. But I'd like to see him. I think that he would be a good kind of like off speed for them, if you will, to get to work in that offense. But yeah, I mean, Tua's not going to be effective when he doesn't have time, and that's all there is to it. And there's always been questions of his arm strength anyway. So he's not one of those guys that throws the ball far down the field. He needs those. It's that that West Coast offense. That's kind of that what they run.
Yeah, and the Dolphins were actually able to do something that nobody's been able to do to Buffalo all season, and that was force 3 consecutive punts last night. And then this happened.
Boom.
And Zach Seiler with the roughing the punter penalty that obviously Miami Mike was not too pleased about. But anytime you got a punter in that position, you're going to get flagged for it. I don't care what your argument is.
Yeah.
Buffalo takes it from there. 5 plays later, Khalil Shakir goes into the end zone. They take the lead, and from that point on, the game is over. And, it's like Miami defensively, I was very impressed last night. That's the first time this season that they've actually shown up to play on the defensive side of the ball. But, then you get an opportunity if you're Miami just a little bit later. And, I think you can see it in this image here. Like, what the hell is he thinking about here?
Yeah.
And Terrell Bernard makes the big play, saves the night for Buffalo. And he said after the game, it's honestly something that we had seen on tape. It's a common route around the league, but he had to give a shout out to Al Holcomb, the Bills linebackers coach, because he put it on tape a few times. We basically worked that play. Our offense runs that play. And he told me if I see it go, it's like one of their top quick game concepts. So I think that's another thing. And you kind of talked about this off the top, Mac, is Miami's offense has become very predictable to the point where literally Terrell Bernard makes the biggest play of the game last night, and he knew it was coming.
Yeah, we were actually talking when that play happened, and I was like, I just let out like you could just see it. Like Tua never took his eyes off of the receiver. It was just an easy pick. But yeah, I mean, it does appear that for all the new wave, if you will, offense that Miami had a couple years ago, it feels as though the league has figured it out.
Yeah, and it's and again, Michael Krause checking in. We appreciate it. Yeah, and we've talked about it a lot of the time with freaking Mike McDaniel and Josh McDaniels. Maybe it's in the name. Some guys are just better coordinators than they are coaches. I wasn't joking when I expected him to be a senior offensive consultant for the 49ers by Thanksgiving. I mean, that's right. Literally what it is for me. So when we look ahead at this, this is going to pain a lot of people here. The Bills' next game will be at home in Buffalo against the Saints. So go ahead and chalk that one up. Buffalo's opened as a 14.5-point favorite in that game. And then, unfortunately for us, we have another Monday night doubleheader. Listen to this lineup for the next time that the Dolphins are in action, if you want to call it action. They're hosting the first game of the Monday night doubleheader against the Jets. The second game of the Monday night doubleheader is Jake Browning's Bengals at Denver to take on the Broncos. So, God, we love those Monday night doubleheaders.
So for Miami, let's just kind of lay it out. I mean, 0-3 overall, 0-2 in the division, 0-3 in the conference. It sounds so weird to say this, but the game against the Jets is a must-win, right? I mean, you can't go 0-4 across the board, division, conference, and overall, and think that you're going to sniff the playoffs. It's just not going to happen. So it's all in for Miami on next week against the Jets. They have to win that game, and then if they do, they have Carolina the next week. So they have 2 winnable games in front of them.
I would normally agree with that statement, Michael, but the problem is when you're doubling shitty football, I don't know if we're doubling the fun. The next date to watch, if you're a Dolphins fan that is of note here, Miami is at Atlanta on October 26th, and then, thankfully to all of us, they are at Baltimore on Thursday Night Football shortly thereafter, and then you've got a long gap in between that game and the next time that they play the Bills. So if Mike McDaniel were to survive this disastrous start that long. And let's be fair here. This is the first time they've been 0-2 under McDaniel. So it's not like this is a common thing, but, we see this all the time that sometimes you just got to change a voice, and that's what needs to happen. Speaking of changing things, the wild card races. I think your Tigers, Mac, are in a little bit of trouble here.
Okay, timeout. Before we get to baseball,
Oh, Jesus.
the good
Here we
thing,
go.
the good thing, I've got a problem. In fact, I got two.
Just
Yeah,
only two, huh?
two. I don't know if you saw this yesterday. This irks me. This happened in the Seattle Kansas City game. I don't know who it was, but somebody for Seattle grounded out to second base.
Oh, I thought we were still talking football there.
Sorry. No, sorry. I'm baseball. I got to get this off my chest right away.
Okay.
A ground out to second base. They challenged the call. Do you know why?
Why?
The infielder's feet were on the outfield grass. They won the challenge, Mike, and ended up scoring a run to win the game. This is stupid. This is stupid. Okay, I love baseball. I know your boy Manfred. Listen. I get it.
You shut your dirty whore mouth, my boy Manfred.
Listen, I know it's all about the shifts, but come on. He had his heels on the grass when the pitch happened, and because of that, Seattle gets a run and ends up winning this game. That just rubs me the wrong way. That's not baseball. And I get it. They were talking to the video coordinator after, and he's like, "Oh, it's something we've been looking at. We've been watching it." I'm like, "That's not baseball." Okay, exactly. It does. It's something like you make up in the backyard. Like, hey, remember you didn't have enough players. If you hit the ball to the shortstop, you're automatically out. It's like the ghost runner. That's stupid too. But here's my second thing, Mike, and this is your team. This is the Giants. I looked.
Oh, God. Well, thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, your biggest series of the year.
You buy that Krause on a T-shirt, and I will never speak to you again.
Biggest series of the year, and you got the same guy pitching 2 games. TBA. Are you kidding me? I'm done with baseball. You can't come up with 5 starting pitchers on your team. You don't deserve to be in the playoffs. And it's not just the Giants. I'm just picking on the Giants because there's plenty of other teams. But baseball, we got to change some things. We need to fix some things. And Mike, you're just the guy for it.
I've already thrown my hat in to be the commissioner. I think that was very. I think that was very creative by you because you're deflecting because you don't want to talk about the situation at hand there. There's your American League divisions, east to west there. And if you notice something in the middle, the hottest team in baseball is running down your Tigers right now. Are you a little nervous?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm more nervous that the Guardians are going to catch the Red Sox than they're going to catch the Tigers. So I think not to deflect, but I really think that what I've seen out of Boston the last week and a half, 2 weeks, actually since I gave them the big pep talk in Arizona, that didn't work. They've kind of
that was effective.
Yes, they've circled the drain, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better. I honestly think.
Apparently, our comment section has lost its damn mind today.
I think they're going to catch the Red Sox before they catch the Tigers. I still think the Tigers are just focused on October. I don't think the Tigers are that bad. I really think the Tigers are good. They haven't played well in the second half. There's no doubt about it, but I still think the Tigers are going to be okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, I mean, there was a time there where the Guards were 15 and a half games behind those Tigers, and now when we look at the American League wildcard standings, as you just mentioned, the Red Sox, now you got some pressure on your heels there, and you look specifically at Seattle, who TJ's talked about a couple times this week, in Cleveland, 9-1, 7 wins in a row. And then when you go into tonight's action, you've got the Braves in Detroit to take on the Tigers, Bryce Elder and Charlie Morton there. And Charlie Morton, who's pitched better, especially in the second half of the season. And then when you flip it around to the other side tonight and you look at the Guardians are in Minnesota, Messick and Lopez tonight. It's going to be a very interesting and telling weekend in Major League Baseball here. And some things that we didn't expect to be in play are very much in play. And the Red Sox have to go down to the always unpredictable George Steinbrenner Field to take on the Rays this weekend, who have nothing to lose. Garrett Crochet on the bump tonight for the Sox. The Sox look terrible right now.
They do. They absolutely do. And I've mentioned it. And I made a couple of comments on X the last couple of days. I mean, it starts with their starting pitching. they're trying to figure it out. They've got guys going on short rest, and Giolito's been great this year. Bayo's been really good this year. But you could even see it with Crochet, his last 2 or 3 starts. These guys have hit their max of innings pitched for their career. Giolito obviously coming off an injury, Bayo and Crochet. We have to remember Crochet he's only pitched a couple of seasons. He's not like, this 10-year vet. And so you can just tell from the starting pitching they're not sharp. They've hit kind of like at the beginning of the season in spring training, it's that dead arm syndrome where your arm is tired from pitching. Here, I think they've just run out of steam. I'll point some fingers at the Red Sox brass on this. You knew this at the trade deadline. You had to acquire another arm. They acquired Dustin May, who's not even on the roster right now. I mean, he's injured. That's all you did. You didn't do anything. They've brought up a couple of young players, and here's the thing. Here's the ironic thing, Mike. With the young guys that they have, that they brought up, the 2 young lefties, with Criswell who's hurt, with Tanner Houck and Cutter Crawford, like. If I look to next year with all of these starters, like I know we wanted them to acquire a pitcher. I don't want them to acquire a pitcher. I love these young arms. I think they've just run out of steam. The other thing is Alex Bregman. He's honestly, since the All-Star game, maybe a little bit before, been he hasn't produced. Let's just be honest. He hasn't produced. And all this talk about, well, he's not going to re-sign with the Red Sox and this, that, and the other thing. I don't think that's affecting him. But the bottom line is, when I look at this, I'm like, do we want to re-sign him? I mean, I don't. He had a great start, MVP start, quite honestly, but he needs to be, with Roman Anthony out, he needs to be the guy, and he's just struggled so bad. So it's both those things. The starting pitching hasn't been good. Their offense has just been absolutely anemic. Their bullpen is good one night, bad the next. Again. I'm bracing for it. I don't know that with the Red Sox schedule, Tampa, and then they have to go to Detroit. I don't know that they're going to make the playoffs. And I wouldn't be all that disappointed. I really wouldn't. I didn't expect it at the beginning of the year. I thought they could be good, but in the back of my mind, I was like, I thought there were better teams, but it'll be a little disappointing, but I won't be shocked.
For those of you that are joining us for the first time, and feel free to comment along if you're watching along, we appreciate you. Follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show, everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not on Snapchat, because we're not 12, and Snapchat sucks. Only other games of note in the American League. Tonight, Toronto is at Kansas City. Max Scherzer and Michael, don't call me Jared Lorenzen in that one. And then obviously the big one this weekend, how the West will be won. Yes. From Dakin Park in Houston, Texas tonight, it's Brian Wu and Hunter Brown as the Astros and the Mariners go into that series this weekend, deadlocked for a tie atop the American League West, which has been that way all year. It's been a 24/7 flip-flop festival with those two teams. We've got, that matchup tonight, Kirby and Framber Valdez, every catcher's favorite pitcher. And then Sunday Night Baseball. Yeah, he's been horrible. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, Logan Gilbert and Jason Alexander. Glad to see that ESPN didn't try and jam Yankees or Dodgers down our throat this weekend. Let's look at the National League here, because the only thing left to decide in the National League is basically the final wild card spot. The Mets have added a little bit of distance there. Arizona on their heels, as I dad joked it up yesterday, slithered their way back into the race. The Reds doesn't seem to, it depends on the day of the week which Reds team we're going to get. They have a big series this weekend with Chicago, with the Cubs, who have already basically locked up the top spot. Shota Imanaga and Nick Lodolo tonight in that one. And then the Giants, women a prayer. They mustered all of one hit last night. The Diamondbacks in the most advantageous position, but the Diamondbacks also have the toughest schedule down the stretch here tonight. Right. They get Philadelphia in Arizona, Ty Walker and Ryan. Don't call me Ryan, it's Ryan Nelson. And then tomorrow it's Aaron Nola and Zach Gallen. And on Sunday, that series will finish with Ranger Suarez and Eduardo Rodriguez. So the Diamondbacks basically are in a position where theoretically they're probably going to have to win out or win the bulk of them. they do have a shot there, but again, they have the toughest schedule remaining there. And, again, I said it all year with the Giants, and, you talking about, TBA and whatever. Well, again, the Giants have two good pitchers, and they're two good pitchers, Webb and Ray. Last week I called him Reb and Way on a video 5 times. That was fun. They got tattooed by the Dodgers. The Giants' anemic offense in the worst times this year has put them in this position. I think if you're a Giants fan from an offensive standpoint, you got to be excited going into next year. But Buster's got some work to do. Obviously, still cleaning up a mess left from Farhan Shadidi, the former president of baseball operations. But I'm interested to see this D-backs Phillies series because, this is also a great point as far as Robbie Ray. Definitely dealing with some arm fatigue. Appreciate you checking in. You got Ross. But I think it comes down to the Mets and the Diamondbacks. And again, the Diamondbacks have the toughest road. And it starts tonight with Philadelphia coming to town. Philadelphia, who's red hot right now. 3 games that they have to make up to try and catch Milwaukee for that top spot, Mac. So I don't know if they're going to quite be able to do that. And it's always interesting at these points. I think when we get to the end of this weekend is when we see the teams go, hey, you know what? This is where we're at. Now it's time to get these guys ready. And then we're going to always have that conversation of, is the rest too much for the top seeds in both the American and National League, especially if one of them goes down right away this year?
Yeah, I mean the D-backs. It's kind of interesting. What has actually propelled them has been their starting pitching. Nelson's been really good. Zach Gallen has actually pitched well, and in HerbNRodg, I mean he's really pitched well over the last month and a half. So their starting pitching has really propelled them. Where they don't have to use their bullpen as much. They're getting 6, 7, 8 innings sometimes out of their starters. They had that game the other night against the Giants that was 0-0, going into extra innings. So I like where the Diamondbacks are. I mean, this Philly team is coming in. The D-backs, I saw that.
Like where they're at. Have you looked at the rest of their schedule?
This is perfect, though. I mean, listen, who's the one team in the West that plays the Dodgers like what? It's the D-backs. The D-backs love playing against the Dodgers. I don't think they're worried about that series. And Kraus is right. I mean, the D-backs handled the Phillies a couple years in the playoffs. So I like the way the Diamondbacks are. I think they've kind of really rallied around each other. I love Torey Lovello. I mean, I hope he's back next year. I know. I really do. I really think he's a good manager. I really hope. I'd love to see the D-backs kind of sneak one in. But on a quick side note, my golfing partner today, he is a big Mets fan. So we got Mets and Red Sox talk on the golf course today. It'll be a lot of tears.
Yeah, Philadelphia. then they have Los Angeles, the Diamondbacks too, and they've kind of tweaked their rotation to line up for this. Fott and Ohtani will be the opener of that series on Tuesday, and then they're slated to have Zach Gallen open the series against San Diego. My God, not only am I going to show this comment here for everybody that's falling in love with you, now I'm going to bring on a guy who might be your best friend in the entire world right now, if I can click the right buttons. And we welcome in Herb from the HerbNRodg podcast. What is up, Herb? I think we got you on mute, maybe. We're going to work on that here for a second. See, he's already trying to butter up to you. We're going to get him reconnected here in just a second. But yeah, it's, it'll be an interesting finish there. It's obviously great for baseball.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking of, before we get Raj connected back, or Herb connected back in here from the HerbNRodg podcast, my boy Rob Manfred. Clayton Kershaw's making his final start tonight and at Dodger Stadium against the Giants. And guess what? You have to have Apple TV to watch it. That's genius. Genius. You have your own network. You have your own channel. If Clayton Kershaw is such a great pitcher, and he has been, I'm not saying he's not. I mean, it's not October yet, so he's been a really great pitcher. But we're not going to show the national audience his final start. That's like calling HerbRodg and Raj Herb. Like, it just doesn't work.
If only you knew how often I get called Raj. Like, it is.
I literally just did it a second ago.
I know.
What's up, my brother? How are you doing?
Kershaw, his final start's not going to be on national TV?
No, it is on Apple TV tonight.
That's wild.
Only some baseball fans, and this one refuses to buy it. What's going on, Herb?
Man, I'm good, man. Listening to you guys, it's always a good time. Yes, I did the long sleeves in honor of Vegas Mack.
Oh, so, yeah, thanks.
I got my tank top ready as soon as we get off the show in honor of you, Mike.
Sweet.
I love you guys.
You're completely pandering right now. Mama Max checking in. I noticed that too, and I wasn't going to bring it up because it was kind of creeping me out a little bit, but yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, can you get that the hell out of there? Seems like a bad omen for what's about to happen here.
I mean, there's so many questions that I don't want to ask right now. So I'm just gonna
you're gonna get me started down a road you know I don't want to go down because my audience doesn't know the story about Doak Campbell yet.
This is the Rob Manfred voodoo doll.
Get that thing the hell out of the screen. Jeez. So what's up in the HerbNRodg world right now?
Man, we are good. You know, for us, bye week, so it's finding time to fill, and then we're going live during the Georgia game next week, so it's kind of everything's geared towards that. Several crossovers with Georgia people next week, but I just want to get to the game, man. I hate all
bless your heart.
The game, yeah.
Georgia people. Me and Georgia people, there's a long-standing friendly relationship. But I have nothing to say this year because my team is absolutely dreadful. But we've got a big weekend of college football, as we put out on our social channels yesterday. TJ dropped his thoughts on the Heisman. I tried to talk him into not liking Drew Aller, but he's in love with Drew Aller right now. I like Baron Morton in this spot. And I like one of your guys, Tyrone Cornelius Simpson, if we're full naming him. But I'm going to put these up here because I want to get your guys' take on this. And I'll start with our guest here. When you look at Heisman right now, Herb, what guys are jumping off the board at you when you look at the Heisman favorites right now?
Well, I mean, I like, and just watching your video right before we get on here, I like a lot of the points in there. Mateer playing in the SEC is going to have a lot of opportunities to move up there. My issue with him is after this last game, you know, he got outrushed by his running back by 37 yards. He is 5 yards away from being the leading rusher for his team. I just don't know that that's sustainable throughout the rest of the year. So that's going to be tough. If you're Miami, you've got Florida and Florida State coming up. And then that's it. But you do have Beck and a guy who was, he was a Heisman candidate last year before he kind of fell off with Georgia. So I like those two being at the top. I won't go too deep into what you said about a lot of the Big Ten guys. There's not a lot of opportunities up there. We did a dive before the Big Ten, before we started the year. And like Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State could all go 11-1. That just kind of tells you what the lack of I'm not allowed to say.
Reported or unreported would be the question there. No, I mean,
they've got their lawyer working overtime.
I think you got some good points there, especially on the Big Ten guys. Mac, this troubles me because you wrote a couple of guys' names down and then a surprise. And a surprise with you is always something I'm not prepared for. So why don't you take me through your Heisman guys right now?
I like Mateer. I like what he's done. This is going to be a big week for Oklahoma to see what they can do. I think the other one, and I know we talked a little bit about, is Carson Beck. He was last year. He was one that everybody kind of had at the top. I know, Mike. I know how much you love Carson Beck, but I mean, let's be honest. What Miami's done so far this year, he's got to be in the talk. And then here's another one. The Heisman's kind of funny because, a lot of times it's a team, it's got to be a guy in a team that's kind of had some success. And then we got to start talking about and looking at the numbers. And there's a guy out on the West Coast who plays for USC that might have the numbers and the team might not be all that bad. And so, Jaden Mayaba, that might be the guy that could surprise. I mean, again, if you talk about it, that USC team is pretty good. They're going to get some wins. They could easily get to 10 wins, and he already has really good numbers. Maybe that's a surprise candidate.
Yeah, a little cut off on that list there, and that obviously comes from DraftKings. A few times I give credit to those, but I use their graphics, so I'm going to, because they don't pay our bills. But yeah, my Alva is at the bottom of that list. I believe he's a plus 3,000 right now. And I think this is a big week for him because it's the first time USC is kind of going to get that quote unquote spotlight. They're playing, we talked about the obnoxiously late start for Michigan State, 8:00 kickoff on the West Coast, which again, I mean, USC, you came to our conference, you can kick that game off at 5:00, but I think he's going to, especially this week. And then, we're going to talk about next week a little bit as well, because there's some huge games. USC goes to Champaign to take on Illinois next week, which will likely be the big noon kickoff game on Fox. And, I think he's going to get those opportunities. But yeah, the thing is, though, and Mac, to echo what Herb said, and I'll give you and then Herb a chance to kind of follow up on this. Like, I know you're Mr. Big 10 on this show, or as TJ calls it, the Big 19. They're not going to have a whole lot of opportunities. So Maava's really going to have to shine when he gets those few.
Yeah, I mean, and their schedule's not really all that bad. I mean, they have Michigan, they have Notre Dame on there, they have to play Nebraska, and they also have Iowa and Oregon on there. So I mean, so they actually, if you look at their schedule, from obviously comparing what we know about these teams right now, it's not a bad schedule. So if he can put up the numbers and they can get the wins, I really think. I mean, you want to talk about a long shot? I think that he's a good long shot opportunity right now.
Yeah. Can I also say that those are a lot better defenses than a lot of the top guys are playing too? Oh man,
asking permission to speak on this program. I didn't ask you guys for permission to speak on your program last weekend.
Well, we were all drinking and having fun on a Saturday night, so we threw everything out the window. No, but you just look at some of those defenses. The USC will have a lot better opportunities than say like the guy from Oregon will have. Their schedule is much better, and we love the underdog story. Nobody expected a lot from USC. So if he plays well against those teams, that's going to be a lot better for him. Especially like we always rate the Iowa defense high, and Oregon being in there. Michigan's got a good defense. So all those together, if he plays well, yeah, he'll be in the talk.
Yeah, absolutely. So plenty of stuff to talk about in the college football world. If you got some games you want to know our thoughts on this weekend, feel free to fire them across. I mean, I wouldn't ask me about a damn NFL game right now unless it's played on Sunday, because I can't pick games on Mondays and Thursdays for some reason. I've been pretty decent in college football so far. And guys, I'm going to lay this out for you, and I'll give Herb the chance to respond first here, Mac, because he's a guest, and that's how you treat guests. But I laid out my Saturday, my four-way play for this weekend, and I went with the Oregon State game over 55.5. I think Oregon can cover that by themselves. I did take Miami to cover the 7.5 against Florida. I do think that there is way more things going on at Florida than we're privy to. I went on the last leg to the island, took Hawaii on the money line against Fresno, because as you meander your way through an entire day of college football, why not finish it up with a 9:00 kickoff on the left coast? And then, I took the over in the Tulane and Ole Miss game, and we found out today, speaking of things that relate to the SEC, Austin Simmons is highly unlikely to play for Ole Miss.
Right.
So Trinidad Chambliss is going to get a chance back in there. Lenore Sellers is now probable for South Carolina. So, when we look at the college football season, Herb, at this point, what are some of your surprises, if you will, either good or bad, as we sit at this early juncture?
Going outside the SEC, how bad Clemson has looked to start the year, even in their one win. We had a guy who does like Locked On College Football, and his national championship game was Penn State versus Clemson, which I almost threw him off the show. I hated that pick, but Clemson, even in their one win, was down big at halftime, so it's just, now they've got plenty of time to come back on it, but that was still surprising. Notre Dame being 0-2, I realize they played their two toughest games first, but this is coming off a national championship.
I'm glad you said that.
Well, there you go. it's funny because, again, we did a preview show. We had 2 Notre Dame guys on there. And it was like, yeah, we're replacing our quarterback, but our formula is still the same. And we're replacing some of the highest returning production in college football. Great running backs, great defense. That's supposed to be your formula, but you bring in a lacrosse player, a football turn lacrosse turn football player, mess up one thing, and he's the biggest bull in the Notre Dame. I just didn't see them at 0-2. And now having to run the table just to get to 10-2, and we'll see. So those are my 2 negatives. My positive, Vandy being a trash talker and backing it up.
Yeah.
Just amazing to me. These guys came in and said, the guy on our show said, we're going to go undefeated this year. He's like, why not? Let's just, it's just like you have that swagger and then you're backing it up and playing well. It's just, I don't know, one of the most dangerous teams you've got out there all of a sudden.
Tough, interesting spot for Vandy here this weekend with Georgia State to see how they react.
Year, right?
And
yeah,
if TJ was here, we would get an update on the Theo Vaughn, Diego's mom, Diego Pavia, St. McRae situation. But TJ's not. Mac, what are some of your surprises, good and bad, so far in this early spot?
I still think Florida State is a surprise to me. I mean, what they've done so far. I mean, we knew they weren't going to be as bad as they were last year, but to come out and do what they've done so far in the first couple games, I really like what Florida State has done. I had Vandy on my list as well. I love what they did. But I think one team that I'm really interested to see, especially this week, is Missouri. I want to see what Missouri is actually made of. This is going to be a big... Yeah, I mean, I really want to see what Missouri is going to do. And then finally, I know you threw out Cal last when we talked the other day as an interesting team, but for me, I think this USC team is interesting. I want to see what they can do. They have an interesting schedule. They have some really good teams that they're going to play. I think they could end, when it's all said and done, they could be in the talk to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, interesting stuff. And, when you bring up the Missouri game here, and I'll get to my 2 surprises, they're both on the positive side. But, and our guy Jared Smith put this out on X. The screenshot wasn't working because I wanted to use his actual tweet here. But EPA per drop back rankings. Bo Perbula, 18th. Drew Aller, TJ's man crush for Heisman now, 87th. Penn State's played Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. Mizzou's played Central Arkansas, Kansas, and Louisiana. And he wrote, did James Franklin keep the wrong guy? And I think it's an interesting question because with what Perbula's done, and again, recency bias is a thing, but right. Perbula's looked really good and different faces, different places, and it kind of goes back to something that I thought from last year, talking about my 2 surprises. In the first one, we saw a fire drill field goal and them get a win last week. And when we were making predictions, I took Clemson against Georgia Tech because I didn't know if Haynes King was going to play for the Jackets. Haynes King, when he's on the field, he's that dude. Like, they are a different program when he's on the field. Now, can Georgia Tech go out and duplicate and continue forward? Well, they get a Temple team that was a no-show last week against Oklahoma, but Haynes King... You want to talk about a dual threat and a dude that's got all the magic. He's that guy, and I'm kind of interested to see how Georgia Tech can stack up in the rest of the ACC, specifically because, brace yourselves, you're not going to believe that this is about to come out of my mouth. My biggest surprise right here in this season is that Miami's as dominant as they've been. Mark Fletcher, that dude is an absolute beast. Carson Beck almost at 80% completions. And here's an interesting thing about Miami is obviously they have this game, and you couldn't have asked for a Florida team to just drive a stake through any better in any better position than you have them this weekend. But they don't leave the state of Florida until November 1st when they play at SMU. That includes obviously the big one that they'll have a bye next week before they play Florida State, but it's, that's a huge advantage for a team that's trying to get the old swagger back. And they have a guy in Mario Cristobal, another guy I've been really hard on, who can get that back because he knows what it was like there. And I saw him with Pat McAfee this morning. And the one thing he talked about was it's not necessarily about getting us back to where we were. It's about getting our players now to bring it forward. And I think the kind of recruiter he is and the success, if they keep running through the transfer portal for quarterbacks, obviously so far, guys, it's worked out geniusly for the Hurricanes. God, I want to go wash my mouth out now.
Yeah. I mean, as much as you might want to bag on Beck, that was still a great pickup, and convincing a guy. And, you might maybe use a twin or two to convince him to come down to Miami. But, however you can get a guy there, whatever the NIL has to be, you get a guy who was, like you said, a Heisman candidate and in the NFL draft to come there. And that's the thing about, we mentioned with Florida State, it's different in college football. It doesn't matter what your record was last year. The transfer portal has made it to where you can even it up so quickly. And then you look around the ACC, and if it's just you and Florida State kind of sitting at the top and Georgia Tech, there's an opportunity here if Clemson is falling behind.
Yeah, there's quite a few teams. I mean, and one of them we'll talk about a little bit later, like Texas Tech, who went and just absolutely they destroyed the portal, this year. And so, yeah, I mean, deep pockets right now are in college football go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the changing game, and some people know how to play it, and some people just want to bitch about it in press conferences. Mike Gundy, how'd that work out for you? So, again, feel free to comment along if you're watching along. Let's look at some games, guys, this weekend that we have our eyes on before we take a peek at next week. And then I'm going to make Herb tell you guys a story about two brothers making a trip to Tallahassee and what happens. Because here, to be fair, this is your first time here with us. You guys were very cordial with me last Saturday night. I'm also going to have you ask Mack to play the game that you didn't like my answer to last week. So Mack's going to love this here at the end. But let's look at some games this weekend that we kind of love here, and I'll get us started. I kind of already talked about the gist of it, and that's South Carolina and Mizzou. This game gets a lot more interesting for me if Lenore Sellers is actually playing and has no ill effects from that nasty hit he took last week. We talked about Perbula and how good he's looked. I think it's going to be a wild scene. I think this, much like what we thought the Vandy South Carolina game was going to be last weekend, is kind of flying under the radar here. A big spread, too. South Carolina, even with that news coming out today, I checked right before we started here. South Carolina is still a 10-point dog at Mizzou. And I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I don't know if I'm buying enough of it to take South Carolina. Definitely not on the money line. And, guys, we've talked about this. I know, Herb, you guys have on your show. Mack, we've talked about it on this show. South Carolina, the thing with South Carolina is they're a one-man band. And if the conductor of that band isn't seeing straight, that's a problem, Mack.
Yeah, and if they're still saying he's questionable, how healthy is he? He's not going to be at 100%. And so again, we saw last week what this team looked like when he wasn't at quarterback. They did not look good at all. Their offense just absolutely went down the toilet. I mean, they did nothing. So the only thing is you could say, now that, with a backup quarterback, you just never know sometimes if he's got time to prepare. Sometimes, especially these college guys, they think, well, I'm never going to play. I'm not going to be in. Maybe they don't quite have the preparation that they need. It might be a little bit better, but I would stay away from South Carolina this week.
Yeah. And that was one of the things we kind of talked about before the year started. They were kind of a one-man band on both sides of the ball. And it was how are they going to fill in around him? Who's going to step up? And then B, how do they handle expectations? And even before he went out in the Vandy game, that was tight. And then, he goes out and then that's over. But people were trying to use common opponents, and Vandy was much better against Virginia Tech. It just doesn't look, I don't know. South Carolina just seems like they always want to be the underdog and surprise you versus being like a front runner kind of team. So,
it's always different when you're the hunted, not the hunter. Yes. So, and now Vandy gets to wear that hat for a week. Mack, give me a game or two you like this weekend.
I'll start. We talked a lot on the show about Michigan and Nebraska. I think this is the week that Nebraska, they have to knock the door down. They have to do it. If they don't do it this week, then I think big changes have to happen, because this is it. This is what they've been building for. The other one I really like is the Texas Tech and Utah game. This is the one I've got my eyes on this one, because I want to see I really want to see what both these teams are made of. Mike, I know you were really, really high on Utah at the beginning. In fact,
Still am.
you picked them to win the conference. As we talked about, Texas Tech went all in this offseason in the portal. They said, listen, we're sick of being, second runner up and not thought of in this conference. We're going to go out and we're going to spend and we're going to get the best that we can on offense, on defense. Offensive line, we're going to build a team, and so here you go. This is their first real opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun one. What do you think, Herb?
No, so like if I was doing a viewer's guide, like we like to do, Texas Tech, Utah, you've got to start off with that one. You mentioned Morton as a dark horse for the Heisman. This is one of your first games to prove him against that Utah team. But I'm watching Auburn and Oklahoma at 2:30. This will be my first real look at Mateer, just because of different games we've been watching. This is the first time I actually get to sit down and watch him for a full game. And then it's interesting for me because we're going to, Saturday nights we usually go through at, the fourth quarter-ish of the last game. And I'm looking at these games. I'm like, South Carolina, Missouri, well, that could be over by the fourth quarter, right? Florida and Miami, that could be over.
That's already over.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm looking at Illinois and Indiana. Like I just don't care enough because I'm an SEC guy. But that will be on one of the screens for the fourth quarter. So that's kind of my weekend guide. But the biggest, Auburn, Oklahoma, that's my biggest. So
yeah, and Mac, I know you got one more. We've talked about it a little bit this week, and I think we talked about it on Tuesday. Or no, we talked about it on Wednesday when we had T here with us. And here we are on Friday afternoon, and nobody's still talking about your other game.
You're talking about the I game, right?
No, Michigan and Nebraska.
No. Michigan and Nebraska. Yeah, no, I love that game. As I said, we know what Michigan. I said it doesn't matter who coaches Michigan. We know what Michigan's going to do. They're going to run the football and they're going to play good defense against you. I mean, that's just what they are. That's the Michigan brand. For Nebraska, Raiola. I mean, here's what I said. They got to let this guy cook. That's what they need to do. They need to.
That's twice in 1 week.
Yeah,
I can't handle that from you.
Yes. It's so true. They need to take the leash off and say, listen, I know he wants to be Patrick Mahomes. We all know that. Then you know what? Let the dude go be Patrick Mahomes. Let him run around the field a little bit and throw the ball down the field instead of these 2, 3, 4 yard passes that they've been doing. Let him go and see what happens. That's the only way you're going to know if he's what you think he is, this is why you brought him in. This is why you brought him into Nebraska. So let him go.
Yeah.
I know you were in mid cooking right there.
It's okay.
Yeah. You also don't really beat Michigan in conservative games. If they grind you down and hold you down and you don't do that, that's where they get you. We see that in Kentucky a lot down here. They play good defense, but they never do anything creative on offense. And even when they have a good physical team, they lose every game. Sometimes you just got to take some chances.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you can get Michigan behind by a couple of scores, right. And now Michigan has to throw the ball. I don't even think that's in their playbook.
Yeah, no. And we talked about this on Wednesday, man. And I told everybody, I said, and we've talked about this on this show a lot. And it's part of the problem. And next Thursday, and I'll tell you who's going to join me next Thursday on Lunchtime Live, and this is one of the questions I am going to ask. If you like a number and you like a team, when the lines come out early, I've already made a bet on the Georgia-Alabama game. That's next weekend. I've already made a bet on the Oregon-Penn State game. That's next weekend. If you like a line and you like a team, you have to take them early. And if you waited and you're still kicking tires and waiting for your boost token in whatever betting app you use, you screwed yourself here. Because if you love Nebraska, like I do in this game, I think this is Matt Rule has built this thing. Matt Rule has cooked this thing to this point. And if you wanted Nebraska, you had a chance to get them at plus money. If you woke up this morning and looked, they're still dogs, but they're at a minus 102, minus 105 were the two I saw this morning. So you blew your chance to get them at plus money there. I think this is when Nebraska finally breaks through and goes over the top. I'm not 100% sold on Bryce Underwood just yet. I need to see more football out of the guy. So that's that. Now, if we look to next weekend, before I give Herb a chance to tell a story here and then give him his chance to pay me back with a game. Next weekend's loaded. Obviously, the two headliners next weekend are later in the day when you go to Oregon and Penn State, the whiteout game, the rematch of the Big 19 championship game, and at the same time kicking off from Athens between the hedges, Alabama and Georgia. But when you look at the rest of next week's schedule, guys, Utah, they have to go to Morgantown, play West Virginia. Auburn, Texas A&M, LSU, Ole Miss. Notre Dame is at Arkansas, which I think is going to be way trickier than people believe it is.
I agree.
Georgia Tech has to go to Wake. Indiana's at Iowa. USC is at Illinois that we mentioned earlier. Ohio State has to travel out to Seattle to play Washington. That's just some of the games on next week's schedule. Obviously, it's headlined, and we would be remiss if we had a Alabama guy on the show and we didn't talk about Georgia and Alabama. So I'll let you take the lead here, Herb, and then we'll talk about what you and Rod are doing for that game specifically. But first thoughts on Georgia and Bama. A very, very decent-sized proving point, if you will, for Kalen DeBoer.
Oh, man, it's huge. It's you always say this is where you get the luxury of fans versus players because fans can look ahead. The second we processed the loss to Florida State, I said we won't know what this team is until we go to Georgia. I said I fully expect us to rebound and beat the next two teams at home. And if the playoffs were in Tuscaloosa, I think Alabama wins the whole thing. But your road record's atrocious when you're DeBoer. I mean, when they go on the road, it's like everybody was at Waffle House the game before, and the coach went in and picked some random people, and they are the guys who went to the stadium. Like, there's no chemistry, there is no fight, and now you're going into an environment where you have owned this other team, and everyone has told them they've owned the other team. You know, we were told the second Saban's gone and new coach is in, Kirby takes over, and then you still lose last year which was a spectacular game. But it's I don't know. There's several outcomes for this game. The only outcome not in play of the four is Alabama winning in a blowout, but everything else is on the table. Alabama wins a tight one. Georgia wins a tight one. Georgia blows them out. I have no idea what to expect. I like the bye week before. It lets us get a little healthier. We banged up at certain spots, but if you're Alabama, you got to prove you can play on the road. I mean, it doesn't
scattered, smothered, and covered. Matt, do you have any initial thoughts on Georgia and Bama? A blackout in Athens too.
I mean,
that's a rumor, but my Georgia guy is like, I would be shocked if that actually happens.
It's floating around. I'd be interested.
It is. Yes, I want to know. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, that's fine. I mean, I always say, you know, the biggest game that you can play is after you have a game where you didn't play as well as you did it. I mean, and Alabama has rebounded really, really well, you know, from that loss, from the first, you know, the loss. So, I mean, that's what you have to look at. I mean, we've seen teams kind of spiral after a loss. So I agree with you, though. I think that week off before a big game like this is going to be very important for him. I mean, like you said, not only from a health standpoint, but just to be able to settle in on a game plan that is going to be successful. But I mean, we all know going on the road is always tough, especially in places like Georgia.
Yes.
Yeah, and obviously the other big one next weekend is the Oregon-Penn State game, and Oregon's got Oregon State, which everybody's like, oh, this could be a look-ahead spot. Dan Lanning is not going to let one of his teams, we tie back to the SEC here, Dan Lanning is not going to let one of his teams look ahead. And Drew Aller, I think, is going to be tested like nobody's freaking business against this Oregon defense. And I can't say it enough for the people that just look at the scores and haven't gotten a chance to watch Oregon play this year. This defense is absolutely elite. So I'll go the other way this time. First thoughts, Mr. Big Ten in the middle, Vegas Mack, on Oregon and Penn State.
Oh man, this is going to be tough because I really would like to see Penn State win this game. I mean, Aller's. I mean, everything you read about him and people say they're just like. I mean, the NFL is just like they can't wait to get their hands on this guy. And so we'll have to wait and see what he can do. But you're right, Mike. I mean, this Oregon defense is really, really good. Man, I'm going to miss missing these games on next Saturday. Darn it.
You're the one that decided to Never mind. I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave that alone. A couple other big games that'll fly under the radar next weekend. Arizona. A lot of people have forgotten about them. They are still undefeated. They will be in Ames to take on Iowa State. Another big one that I'm very interested to see, and I'm really happy that it's on earlier. Tennessee goes to Stark Vegas to take on Mississippi State, who is all kinds of full of themselves right now. Herb, from an SEC standpoint, what do you make of this Mississippi State squad? Because I can't figure them out.
Well, you had a lot of guys, a lot of pundits, if you will, saying that Mississippi State would be much improved this year. Now, much improved for Mississippi State is probably like 6 or 7 wins, right? But they're still playing tough. They're playing good on offense. And you're probably Tennessee has a week after the Georgia game to kind of lick their wounds a little bit. But that environment in Mississippi State is still, I have people that have gone to it and they text me after, I still can't hear a thing. My ears are still ringing. Yes. So it's still a crazy, crazy place. And if you're Mississippi State, what have you got to lose? Like, these are the dangerous teams, right? Mm-hmm. Tennessee's going to play that hurry up. They're going to score plenty of points, but I still don't know if I believe in their defense enough to slow them down. So I think Mississippi State can hang with them. I'd love to see what your line is by the time that gets there, I guess. But I could see that being one of my upset picks. Picking Mississippi State and picking against Tennessee is like a double dip for me. So I would not mind. I would not mind either one of those options.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that one a lot. So, all right. We would be remiss if we didn't try and cross-pollinate the two shows here. So Herb and his brother Raj. And I'll let Herb tell you when their program's on. And again, I joined them last Saturday on their After Dark program. It was a freaking riot. Very laid back, a lot of fun, watching some games, messing with Raj because he was on a delay. Just a damn good time. Now, you two decided to take the trek from, well, I guess from Texas and from Bama. And I'll let you guys fill in the. Why don't you give our audience a little bit of a backstory on your show, when you guys are on, and what you guys do, and then I'll ask you what happened specifically at Doak Campbell Stadium.
So, Rod's out in Texas. Like I said, I'm in Birmingham. We do our live show Wednesday night. It used to be Tuesday, but then we found out everybody that we know is doing a show on Tuesday. So we moved over to Wednesday, 8 p.m. And somewhere during the summer, we actually started this After Dark show. It's funny, though. You can tell how old we are. Our After Dark show starts at 7:30. So we're like, people are like, we got the little thing coming up and we're having drinks and we're talking. But like, by 9 o'clock, it's still almost bedtime. So we're getting out of there. And we just, once college football started, we're just recapping the days. Like, Mike jumped on and we've had random people hop on and we're just watching games and talking. Like I said, Roger's on a delay, so it messes with him a little bit.
But random.
Oh, well, Mack's my guy here, so yeah, I had to.
Right.
All right. So
Mike's gonna give me. I'm gonna text Mike. Hold on, Mike. I love you, man. I'm texting.
So I thought I was superstitious. Like, Niners are on a winning streak. I wear the same stuff. Depending on the time of the season, might not even change the underwear. If the Gators are on a winning streak, that's funny.
Exact opposite over here.
Yeah.
I thought I was the most superstitious person in the world, and then I got the great pleasure of meeting HerbNRodg and Herb. So you guys fell in a hole in the game at Tallahassee while you're in the stadium, and the weather is impending. Mack will love this story because this sounds like something Vegas Mack would do. But why don't you tell Mack specifically and the rest of our audience what you did at Doak Campbell Stadium that has now brought you fame at Bryant-Denny Stadium?
So I change clothes whenever it gets bad. So if I'm at home, like, there's a pile of clothes during bad. You can tell how bad the game was. There's a pile of clothes over there. ULM 7-3-0. We don't do. You're wearing the same clothes start to finish. So I always posted. When I'm on the road, you get down to nothing. So there was one point where I'm running around Florida State, in my underwear, getting chased by security. Didn't help our luck at all. Still got rained on. But look, man, I'm a fan. I do what I have to. So watching games with me is always interesting.
And then
Oh
what
my
happened
gosh.
last week when you were at the Bama game? So you're leaving out the best part of the story.
Guard comes up to me and goes, "Hey, looks like you're going to be okay. You can keep your clothes on."
That's awesome.
Talk about
man.
a Dixieland delight.
Man.
See, so and Mack has this thing, and he says he doesn't, but we always kind of call him out on it. He is Mr. Reverse Psychology. He has a PhD in reverse psychology, to where like, oh, this game's done, I'm going to bed. The most famous instance was Celtics Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals a couple years ago, and he texts both TJ and myself, and he goes, "This game's over, I'm going to bed." Come to find out, the Celtics came all the way back and won the game. And TJ texts me and he goes, "Hey, should we wake Mack up?" And I go, "Nah, we'll let him find out in the morning. But I'm not going to leave this alone." I literally, we had friends in town. I'm in the pool at the Airbnb that they were staying at. I did a video where I showed the whole group screenshot that Mack was already asleep and had no idea that the Celtics won. So, Mack, you're going to get a chance now to really score some brownie points here.
All right. Let's do it. Brownies are good.
HerbNRodg do a game on their show. They threw me completely under the bus on this one. So now it's your turn.
Which is the best way to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got ran over like my back still hurts. So now it's your turn to play Herb's game, Max. So go for it.
All right.
All right, Matt. I'm going to give you 4 names, okay? And they're going to fit into 4 categories. All right. Work, play, live, ditch. Okay? Work, that's the person you're working with. That's a 40-hour, work week. Live, that's your roommate. You know how roommates are. Ditch, that when that person calls, it goes straight to voicemail. Play, when that person calls, you guys are going out on Friday night. Y'all having fun. Okay?
All right.
Are you ready for your names?
I'm ready. I'm nervous.
He's nervous.
Mike,
gosh.
Herb, Raj, TJ.
All right.
Yeah. How do you think I felt? I'm like,
oh man. All right. Give me a minute. It's multiple
you'll
choice.
have a minute there. Hey, while he's doing that, I want to let our people know. You can see it up on the screen there. Go do us a favor. Go follow our guys, HerbNRodg. They are on where you guys go on YouTube and X, I believe, right? When you go live.
Yep, YouTube and X, and I'm loading our stuff up on Spotify to get us caught up on there too today. So
there we go. So go follow the guys. Again, you're gonna see us on their programs. They're gonna be on our programs. So go do the fam a favor there. Are you done in the middle there?
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
There are no wrong answers.
I have too many lines now. All right. Oh my gosh.
Everybody only fits into one.
Here we go. Ready? Where do I start?
You have to explain your reasoning too.
Yes.
Gosh, this is like school.
Hey, look, Mike is only putting you through what he went through, so it's nothing new.
Yeah, and Herb's still pissed off at me about it.
All right, I picked Mike for live, and here's why. No, Mike. No, listen. You ever see this guy watch games?
Thank you, Michael, for that.
He's got like 500 TVs, and he's got them all set up, and he's got like five games on every TV. So I mean, that's the best part. I'm like, he would have this whole thing set up, and I can watch all these games because he knows. I mean, all the games. I mean, like the teams that I really want to watch on Saturday, Maine, UConn. He'll find those games for me, and he'll have them on there.
Right above the toilet on the iPad.
Holy Cross! You got to have the Crusaders on there. So I do that. I picked Raj for work because I haven't really talked to him that much, and I don't really know him. So that's someone you want to work with, someone you really don't know that much. That way, if you want to throw a lot of work at him, say, Raj, you need to do this, Raj, you need to do this, and it just then you leave after, and you let him do all the work. So since I don't know him that well, I'll let him do the work. Herb, I can see us going to games and just having an absolute great time because I'm telling you what, you don't know how super.
I hope TJ's watching right now.
You don't know how superstitious I am, and I'm hoping my wife's not watching this, so she won't tell you how superstitious I am. But it's really bad. It's really bad. TJ, I love you. phone's not working.
Oh! Sorry, T. When you said Raj to work, I was like, oh, this is going to be bad.
I just text TJ to make sure he watches today's show.
Oh,
man.
gosh.
See,
that was
so you got ditched over the guy you've never met. That's a choice.
If I remember right, so I think I know I ditched you. And my reasoning, Mac, I ditched you because I told the guys that I never answer your phone calls. TJ, I went live just because I've experienced it, so I kind of knew. Raj, I was going to have a drink with. No, and I ditched you, didn't I?
Did you ditch? I remember Raj was going out, so I don't remember if I was.
I think I ditched you.
Oh, man.
Oh, because then I was like, I'm the one you always text. Yes, after the show.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah,
I'm the one you always call.
Interesting stuff. All right, so plenty of stuff as far as our channel goes. The Big Mac kickoff game tonight will be Texas Tech and Utah. I have Oklahoma and Auburn. I almost did it again. Don't hate me, Alabama fans. The other team in Alabama. TJ After Dark is ASU Baylor. Of course, 5 for 500. I'll try not to screw that up this week like I did last week. And then the Sunday spread and Sunday night Mack this week. What is coming up for you guys, Herb, on this weekend? And please, again, for the people that just joined us late, what the hell are you doing, Bruno Mars?
I'm like, do I have a window open?
No, it's always Mac. It's always Mac's phone. So fill the people in on what you guys got coming on and what you guys are doing next Saturday, because I know I will be watching because I think it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah. So we've been testing out the little watch parties. We're going to go live during the fourth quarter of one of the games. You know, we'll have multiple games on. We'll recap the day. Usually it's we'll talk more about Bama, but it'll just be recapping whatever. We'll also have our video out, top 5 things we like about the bye week. And then next week, because of my luck of going to Oklahoma with Raj and going to Florida State, I'm going in the opposite direction. I'm driving out to Texas. Raj and I will be together for the Georgia game, so no delays. And we're going to do a watch party for the full Alabama-Georgia game. So that should be fun.
You keep that down in the middle for a second. I hear when the freaking permanent marker's out with you. So yeah, so that'll be next Saturday during the Georgia-Bama game. Make sure you get over to HerbNRodg's page. You'll probably get some pop-in comments from the three of us. Who knows? Maybe if I am not completely intoxicated, I might pop on and jump in there.
Well, the more intoxicated, the better.
That's
all.
Well, I mean, I don't remember. I maybe it's because I'm trying to forget, but let's see. I'll tell you my intoxication level right now would be. Oh, actually, I'll probably be more intoxicated next weekend than ever because I'll be awaiting Texas and Florida the next weekend.
Oh yeah,
Florida could fall to like 1 in fucking 19 at that point. Mac, go ahead. I heard your permanent marker.
Raise it up.
Gotta hold it higher. Okay.
Oh,
pandering. So plenty of stuff next week. We'll be back Tuesday night, 5:30 on the West Coast, 8:30 on the East Coast. Wednesday night, same bat time, same bat channel. Next Thursday, this is what I wanted to get out before we get out of here. Yeah, I know. We only have to deal with them in small increments. So next Thursday, lunchtime live. I'm going to be on a little bit later next Thursday. Obviously, we'll set up Thursday night football for you. But I mentioned I will be joined by one of the sharpest guys I know in the sports betting space, a gentleman I've gone back and forth with trying to get him on this program for quite some time. If you're familiar with him, you're better for it, especially in the betting space. Not only is he a good dude, he's one of the sharpest guys in sports gambling that I know. Bill Krackomberger, the Crack Man, as you've heard on Fox Sports Radio, on Wager Talk, on all kinds of places. He will be joining me next Thursday, kind of in the same format, the second half hour of the program, and we're going to talk all things sports gambling, He's got some good tips for you and this, that, and the other thing. So for everybody behind the scenes, a lot of people that work hard to make us look good. For everybody's favorite person in the middle, Vegas Mack. For TJ, who was just completely thrown under the bus. And Herb, thank you for joining us, man. Good time.
Yeah, thanks,
Let's
Herb.
do
Appreciate
it again
you,
soon.
Yes, sir.
And go follow our guys over at the HerbNRodg podcast. We'll talk to you this weekend, and we'll talk to you in this space next week. For now, I'm Mike. We'll talk to you then.